On this week's Red Dead 2 o'clock, our in-depth verdict on the epic Red Dead Redemption 2. It's all here on this week's Red Dead 2 o'clock. Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Red Dead 2 o'clock. My name is James and I'm joined by Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Hello. And we are here on the pause screen of the game. We're about to play it. It's very exciting. We have been playing it. This isn't the first time we've played it. Me and Dan have both been playing it for around about 9 or 10 days now.
Yeah, about that. Probably at different levels of duration, because the game is huge.
Yes.
Absolutely huge, but we've both had different experiences, and actually I can't wait for us to talk about our different views and opinions on the game.
So as we play through it, I'm just going to go around the map, show you some things, do a bit of horsing around. But as I'm doing that, Dan, do you want to start off with an overall, what do you think of the game?
Wow.
It's a big question.
Yeah. The thing about this game, I mean, and I'm basing this on a point in time, where having had the game for about a week and a bit, I've played probably only about 20 to 30 hours, right? Now, some people we know, like the guy who's reviewing it for GamesRadar, has been playing it for more like 60 to 70 hours. Yeah. I think only now is he drawing in on what one might term the conclusion. Is there more gameplay beyond that? Absolutely. You cannot overstate this. This is a true epic in terms of scale and length. Now, does it deliver on the hype? Well, it's a difficult question. In some ways, yes, 100%.
I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it's staggeringly beautiful. This is a once-in-a-generation type of production. The cinematics, the attention to detail, the feel of the world, the richness. It's something that, really only Rockstar are doing. You could make the case for, maybe the Assassin's Creed series that creates these huge, rich worlds. I just don't think it's offering the level of depth and ambition that this is all about. On a 4K TV, this looks absolutely beautiful. It looks beautiful even on a standard PlayStation or Xbox. The dynamic weather systems are breathtaking. Yeah. The entire feel of cinematic flourish is on another scale. Fans of Rockstar's type of game and single-player games will not be disappointed with that flourish. The more interesting and I guess challenging part of the conversation is this game is not a universal slam dunk, I don't think. Some people are going to find it challenging. I think some people, particularly on websites, are going to write quite scathing things about it, perhaps rightly or wrongly. I'll dig a little deeper into why I think that is. Essentially because this is such an uncompromising project. This is clearly a huge labour of love that Rockstar have invested, 8 years of development time into. All the talk, and there's an entirely different show to be said about all the stuff being said about Rockstar's work culture and etc. etc. Not to get too much into that here, but just to say, the work shows, and the end result is something truly spectacular. Now, what I've found challenging, and I say this quite openly, the introduction to the game, it's simmering, it's intense, it's cinematic, and brutally uncompromising. Hands up, right? I've been playing the game late at night. I've got kids, so I put my kids to bed. I'm tired. I have a busy day at work, my regular job. But I've fallen asleep during the opening 4 hours 3 times. Which is
quite slow.
Yeah, which is mind-blowing. And you go, wow, game of the year, fell asleep 3 times. It's sort of mind-blowing. And the reason is, again, because the game's so cinematic. It doesn't begin with an explosion or a shootout or like a ram jam train heist. It begins in almost a survivalist situation where you're on the back foot. There's lots of conversation. There's a very slow drip feed of mechanics and tutorials. It introduces you to the dynamic camera. We've talked about this on the show before, but the dynamic camera is when you hold down the sort of main face pad and black bars appear on the screen, and you have like some control, but the camera takes over and it's very cinematic and dynamic. But this is where I was falling asleep. Loads of the missions involve 3 to 5 minute trawls across beautiful countryside where all you do is hold X. Yeah. So in terms of, if you're used to playing beat 'em ups or something that has a high kinetic input ratio, you're doing nothing. And quite often I'd be riding the horse, hearing some guy talk about the thing is Arthur, blah, 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 blah. And then I'd suddenly find myself rousing and waking up going, oh, what's he said? What's going on? That's more a comment on me, right? And loads of people will say, you're an idiot, you shouldn't be so tired. That's all fair. But it's completely correct to say this game is slow, it's uncompromising, it's adult, it's trying to tell a big thematic tale. And I think some people are going to find that quite uncompromising. I've heard people in the office say that they think it's quite old school in its approach, where there's a sense of almost unskippable cutscenes. The game, for example, shows you a mission and then forces you to go into a cutscene to ride home. It forces you into conversations. It's quite hard to quick step, and it's not a game that suddenly goes, here's the open map. Well, it kind of does, but not in the same way as some other titles. It's not like, here's the open map, go and do gamey things. It's not like Spider-Man, where suddenly it's like, get the backpacks, get the towers, do stuff, find things, earn points, get prizes. It's not that at all. And because it's so adult, I guess in the way it wants to project video games, and it doesn't really want gamey elements to be visible. We can probably even do this now, James. You can hide the radar and just make the game... There we go. So you can change the display radar to make it regular, off, or compass, and you can completely remove it.
So that's off, and you just get nothing on the screen when it's off, basically. You get a couple of health bars for your horse. That's the ones on the bottom right there. But if you stop... should just totally disappear.
Just to make it a completely clean screen.
There you go. And now there's nothing. So in this situation, when you're doing those rides between mission objectives or from city to city or outpost to outpost, you get nothing on the screen. So you can be riding along. There might be like a stranger mission off to the right. There might be someone who needs help over that hill. But in this situation, you can't see that. And that's quite jarring at times, to be like, if I've turned it off because I want this amazing cinematic experience, what you end up doing, I've found, is missing out on a lot of that incidental stuff. So I've actually ended up turning it back on, just because
for the classic completionist gamer, the platinum trophy gamer, this type of view and the way the game presents itself is really challenging. I think you feel like you get a constant FOMO, where you think, I'm missing some stuff to collect, where's the side missions, where do I do that? But if you want a very organic and naturalistic experience, which is definitely what this game wants you to do, it's there, but it takes a mindset adjustment. And also a mindset adjustment in that you may do a mission. This is something the game does well, but it's challenging. The demarcation between main story missions and side missions can be quite seamless. And it's not always apparent when you're doing something that very definitely progresses the main storyline forward, or when you're doing something that's more fun and incidental. And often you do these things, and the reward is the experience.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
In game terms, nothing.
Yeah, like nothing in terms of like plus 10 magic points or a new cookie or something like that. It just doesn't do that.
Have $10, thanks for the help from someone or anything like that.
Yeah, and the entire idea of after I've talked about the intro and how it's excellent, but it's slow. Then it throws you out into a much bigger open world where suddenly the training wheels are off and you're not entirely sure where to begin, what to do. You start to experiment. My first experiment was, oh my god, the train is going past. Ride past the train. Oh my god, I can jump on the train off my horse. Let's just try that and see what happens. So you do it. This is thrilling. Oh my god, what about my horse? Is he dead? Like, will I ever see him again? So all these thoughts are racing through your mind. You're not sure what's happening. You're exploring the train. A train guard challenges you. Before you know it, you've shot him in the face. The train. This is what happened to me. Before you know it, things accelerate.
Oops.
So yeah, I end up shooting the guard in the face. Just as the train pulled into the next station, the guard falls out of the carriage onto the street, where two bystanders spot him, who happen to be like officers of the law. I end up bundling out of the train. The next thing you know, I'm in some mad shootout in Deadeye. I've killed 3 people. I'm less than 5 minutes into the main portion of the game. I develop a bounty on my head of $120, and I've got $23 to my name.
Yeah.
So every time you go into a town, people are like, don't want any trouble, stranger. Certain places you'll just get arrested. So there's a sense of panic, because you think, how do I get money? How do I neutralize this sort of OCD sense of having control over the world? It doesn't let you do that very easily. Loads of people will be searching for, how do I make money?
Yeah.
How
Well, hey, head to GamesRadar.com and we've got a
Seamless.
guide for you.
Yeah, it's seamless. But these are genuine questions because you don't always get the help. Do I think this is a... And I've got too excited and carried away talking about it. Do I think this is a great game? It's spectacular in terms of its production. I think the ambition of the storytelling is incredible, but it is uncompromising. It isn't for everyone. But the more it goes on, I think the more it surprises you. Like, I played a mission last night where you go from a traditional heist, you go through a stealth mission. These are all very, classic game things. But I played a mission last night where essentially you just get drunk with a guy.
Yeah,
and
that mission's weird.
It's so weird. But, that mission that's weird and throwaway, mechanically it does some very interesting things. And actually, also, there's a level of racial comment in it, which, people could interpret in different ways, but I think is quite daring. And this element of surprise in the game is what will drag you through the hours, and as we say, 60, 70, 100 hours. We don't want to get into spoiler territory, but again, I think much as those who played the first Red Dead felt that there was a reward for going all the way through, it is definitely worth persevering with this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we should note a couple of things. We haven't started this gameplay demo, whatever you want to call it, playthrough from the beginning for a number of reasons. Firstly, you'll want to experience that yourself. Yeah. Secondly, we're not actually allowed to show you the beginning of the game, so we're not going to do that. Yeah. So this is from my save that's, I don't know, maybe 50 hours in. So we're not going to do any of the story stuff. We're just going to focus on riding around the open world and things. Obviously, if you want to come in completely clean, we're already 10 minutes into the video, but you're not, you're going to see probably some other towns that we haven't seen in the trailers and things like that, but nothing related to the story. So hopefully it should be spoiler free for you in that sense.
Quick, can I just ask you, James, before we dive into some of the way the world works and the mechanics, what do you think?
I think, similar to you, I think it's really good. I think it's the most grown-up, adult, serious game Rockstar have ever done. GTA 5 had elements of this is a bit, serious, but this is relentless and there's no, so far, fun. It's fun going into bank heists, robbing people, doing all that stuff, but all of the story is very much, it's a very, very grown up story. There's very little in the way of oh, go over there might be some UFOs. So far,
yeah, there's nothing. I think wacky is what it's not.
Yeah,
there's a few missions like that drunk mission I was surprised by, but it's kind of rooted in, if I was to get really drunk in a saloon, it might kind of go this way. Not entirely, but you're right. It's not wacky and it's not zany. It's a million miles from a Saints Row or even from a GTA 5. But I don't think it means it's not fun to play, or every night that I go home now, I really want to play it, and that's always a mark of a good game for me, where you feel that invisible itch when you're not at the screen, where you feel like you should be playing it, and I've definitely got that with it now.
Definitely, it's super engaging. I always want to be riding around, and I think the thing for me is once you get through, as we've spoken, the first few hours, to the stage where we had the preview demo, which is in your first camp at Horseshoe Overlook, and you get set off in the open world, and it is do what you want, but the missions are here. I ended up going off in the open world for ages, and that was the bit that's really fun, is exploring this world, going out and doing the missions or the things that aren't main mission related, so the stranger activities, just riding into different towns and meeting the different people, investigating what's at the top of that mountain, what's over there. It's all the little things that makes the world.
Even there, you could see the vultures descending on what is a dead body or a carcass.
Let's go and investigate.
Yeah, let's go and investigate right now. But it's this level of surprise and detail in the world. So, can you do anything, or what can you do with that carcass now?
I don't know how old it is. No, it's decomposed. So,
yeah, brilliant.
So we can't do anything with that, which is another thing that I learnt the hard way. By obviously, hunting is a big thing. You have to go and hunt all of the animals, bring it back to your camp if you want, or cook it for yourself. You put them on the back of your horse, And by putting them on the back of your horse, you can then carry them around, take them to merchants to sell, take them back to your camp. But if you leave them on the back of your horse, they rot away, and then you can't eat them anymore. So I was riding around with like a deer on the back of my horse for ages, going, I thought this is fine. And eventually I came back to my horse after playing a lot of poker, and it was just on the floor with flies all the way around it. And I was like, oh, right.
I was saying to James yesterday, it's worth noting how much like a car your horse is. You can stick a ginormous deer hide on the back, 2 turkeys on its haunches. It really is, to all intents and purposes, a car. And it's the same when you get in the carriages that you can drive. You know, I had one in a city, and I was doing an Austin Powers style reverse turn with a horse-driven carriage. Like, it's a bit daft, but it has to be controllable. So I can concede that.
Yeah, but I you know, overall, I love it. I love the environmental storytelling in it. I like being able to be out on my own and do whatever I want, meet different people. Like, even, like, you know, talk to this guy. He's angry with me. You can try and diffuse this situation. It's probably not going to go well.
Oh dear.
It hasn't gone well. So now we have to shoot him.
Would you have to, or just run away?
No, we're going to shoot him.
So there's a little bit of the Deadeye system there. Is that now on the bottom? That's showing your virtue level,
that's
or your honour?
Yeah, my honour rating. So my honour's actually quite high.
I'm surprised.
Well, I've been being very good in most things. Like, I'll help people. I'll do a lot of things. I haven't been robbing that many people, but all of even the little animations, like this guy now, he's like dead, but I can pick him up. You can pick up pretty much everyone and everything in the game. There's blood on the floor. You carry him to the back of your horse. If you leave him on the back of your horse, I'm not going to, because he's going to be heavy. But let's put him on there. Sometimes, like, he'll have a blood patch now on the horse because you've left him there for a while.
Oh, your horse has done a massive doo-doo. I mean, that's whenever I get a dead body put on my shoulder, that's what happens to me.
I'm very sorry. I'll take him off. See, there you go. Now he's got, like, blood marks all the way back of it. And this is on a standard PS4 as well that we're capturing this on.
Yeah, even PS4 can do horse doo-doo. That physics is in all versions.
So should we talk about the story, not in terms of like this happens and this happens, but a general overview?
Let's do that. I think there'll be people here who maybe are still with us who just started watching this discussion stroke review purely to know, should I buy it, is it good? Just for those people, yes, it absolutely is. It's a once in a generation title. Just don't expect it to be like moment to moment sizzling or knockout, maybe in the way something like God of War is, where it instantly gets you and drags you through. It's not quite that type of experience, but it is special, and I think it's absolutely worth investing in. And it's before we've even talked about Red Dead Online Conversation TBC that instantly makes this an insta-buy package.
Yeah, I will say actually that the first sections are very different to anything you've been before, but actually the section I was playing last night, which you get to, well, however far I am in now, did feel a lot more gamey.
That's interesting.
Like, the missions like interconnect to each other. There's a lot more cutscenes. There's a lot less of like, go over here to get that mission, then go over there to get that mission, speak to this person. Like, it starts seamlessly flowing together.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting that that's happened at that stage of the game. Like, neither of us have finished it. We've put a lot of hours into it, but there's still loads to discover.
So before you rush off and buy, I guess my final comment is just something to pick up on what Dan Houser had said, who's the sort of creative lead on the game amongst a few other people. He talked about this being a 4-dimensional open world experience, which obviously sounds like something EA would put on a pack shot for FIFA. The point he's making is the 4th dimension is time. This is something we've talked about a lot on the show, about what we think the sweep of the game is and how they'll use time to create something far more impactful and powerful. That's what Rockstar are saying themselves. And I think when we've all sat down and we've finished this experience, there'll be a much bigger, more rounded conversation about that element. But go and buy it with confidence. For everyone else, we're now going to dig much deeper into some of the really cool stuff in the game and do some more fun molecular stuff, so do bear with us.
Yeah, well, and speaking of time, which is related to everything, obviously your beard and your hair grows throughout the game that you have to cut off whenever you want. Yesterday, I hadn't cut my hair for the entire length of the game, and his hair got really long, and it was annoying me. I was like, God, I need a haircut, so I had to go and find a haircut. I kept his beard pretty trim, but
he looks very groomed now. Can you take that hat off to see your hair?
Good question. I don't know if I can. I could.
You can have it knocked off, right?
Yeah, you could have it knocked off, or I could like maybe fall off.
Maybe don't simulate a broken. All right, yeah, that's not going to knock it off. You can definitely in this menu play with your hat. I mean, let's not get obsessed with hats. Sorry, that's me getting a bit hat-tastic.
I imagine during this playthrough it will come off.
Yes, well, we can see the haircut at that point then.
So yeah, but time is a big thing. So all of that, but there's different things in the world that happen. Like we've mentioned, towns will build buildings as you visit them and things. There's things on the outskirts of Valentine that I've definitely seen other people have started to build a house now in my playthrough. They're like, oh, we're just going to set up camp out here. So the whole world is changing throughout your entire playthrough. And if I had to bet, I would say that would also carry over to Red Dead Online.
Yeah. Could you show us, because such a large part of the game is about travel over large distances, and you're on a horse, so it's obviously more time consuming than, say, flying or something in GTA. Can you show us like some of the ways that the game can semi-automate that, for example, with a dynamic camera or setting waypoints and stuff? So can we go to Valentine now, maybe to see a town and to ride there?
Yeah, do you want to see the map then? This is what we're talking about. So
for
let's
people
who don't want to see the map,
okay, yeah.
Here comes the map. It's big. So we are currently pretty much in the middle.
Show people where you begin.
So you start, well, this is Valentine. This is the town that you'll visit quite a lot in the early stages of the game. Your first camp is somewhere around here.
Yeah,
I think.
near.
Oh, it's here. It's Horseshoe Overlook.
Yeah.
So there's your first camp. You go to Valentine, in and out of Valentine quite a lot. There's a lot of stuff that happens between those two things. But if you wanted to go anywhere else, not on a mission, the whole map is open apart from this section in Blackwater, which is obvious why you can't go there. If you have played the first 2 minutes of the
game. Yeah, that's it.
There's a fort up here that I've not been to yet.
Wow. Look at the mountain
Fort
ranges as well.
Yeah.
That's ginormous. The game does actually begin
up here somewhere.
Up there somewhere, and then you head down to what feels like almost the size of a full game around Valentine.
Yeah.
This really is a big map, and it really is a big game, and because you traverse it on the Hoss, it just feels bigger. And this area here, like St. Denis, that's the kind of New Orleans style area.
Yeah.
That town on its own feels not unlike the size of Liberty City in GTA 4. Like, not quite, but like it's really big. It's so big,
and we haven't even talked about what's beyond Blackwater.
No, and scroll down far,
all the way down.
I can't believe it. This is the bit this morning where I literally did some swearing when you showed me that, because I couldn't believe the scale of it.
Well, let's go to a town then, and let's go back to Valentine.
Yeah. And you can set a waypoint.
Yeah, anywhere you want waypoints, like you do anywhere else.
You pop a waypoint in, and then you can show off the dynamic camera and the way you can kind of automate the journey a little bit.
So this will put a waypoint. You have to if you want to do the cinematic camera, it's best to get your horse on an actual road first.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
So you can see the line at the moment on the radar is like dotted, which it's showing you the way to go, but it's not a main route. When you get on a main road, it becomes like a solid red line. Obviously, the solid red line won't run through a rail track, because that could lead to your actual death.
Yeah, it won't want me riding through that tunnel. But we should be able to get onto one of these paths, hopefully.
Yeah, and classically we've chosen the one area where there is no solid path. There it is. There's a path coming up. So you should see the transition in the radar to full path. There it is, just as we go on there. So as you do this, if you activate the dynamic camera...
That's holding in the touchpad.
And
off he goes.
There he goes. And if you just hold down X, well, he'll do it himself. But because you set the waypoint, I don't think you even know to hold down X now. You'll just follow it to the waypoint.
You can leave it now.
But you can press R3, and it will change the camera angles.
Yeah.
And you can also... I think you can still draw your bow and your gun from this position, or does that pop you back out to the main thing? Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's not... Oh, no, you can.
Yeah, so we may not want to do that because it increases the hostility of those who see us.
Yeah, so this is basically what you use for travelling the long distances. And I'll be honest, definitely in the first 20 or so hours, you'll be doing this a lot. To the point where I've, put the pad down for a bit and gone and got a drink and come back again, and he'd still be riding, because it takes a long time. The only thing to be careful about there is you can still get held up, you can still run into trouble during this mode, and if you do that, you'll instantly be popped back out of cinematic mode and expected to defend yourself.
Yeah,
And if you're
of
not
course.
holding the controller, that doesn't go well.
Don't pop out for a coffee.
No.
If you tap X more rapidly, does he speed up now?
Yeah.
So even in dynamic camera, he will speed up because obviously it's quite a long way to go. It can be, and this is what I say. This is why I took a few rest moments during the introduction, because a lot of the game, certainly at the start, encourages you to do this, and it is to drink in the world. It's beautiful. The dynamic weather constantly surprises you. I was down on the beach last night in the game, and at moonlight, and it's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful, and you can find. It's no spoiler to say you can get a camera, and even though the camera's really old, you can use it to take selfies. And I was taking these amazing moonlit selfies, and you can pose Arthur in all kinds of. And the thing is, again, they're not GTA selfies. They're not like V signs or doing the floss. He does like mega cool dude striking poses, and
I'm gonna get it out while you're talking.
yeah, do that. It's really nice, and you can frame the background. So yeah, you'll pop that, and you can do a little selfie with R3, and you can pose. And change your expression to some weird, gormless. There we go. Look at that. That's brilliant. Oh, a little winky. This stuff's properly brilliant.
Yeah.
And it looks gorgeous. I mean, at the moment, it's not even the most expressive sky. And after I left the moonlit beach, a storm started, and not just a rainstorm, like a windstorm. That storm you get before it starts raining. And you can see the detritus and leaves blowing sideways and around, and the sky is sort of moody and angry, and it's just so beautiful. It's just a game you want to live in this world. Look at the horse. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really nice looking. So I will continue travelling to Valentine. I'll put my camera away.
Hopefully on the horse.
Hopefully on the horse. Doing it in non-cinematic mode, I think, does get you a much bigger sense of like what's around you. So obviously in cinematic mode everything goes away, so you do miss those dots on the map or those little things to investigate because it's just traveling there. I've actually now preferred doing it myself because you just see a lot more things. Completely.
So are we getting closer to the town?
We're getting close-ish. Yes, closer. So I'll just go here. So should we talk about the element of choice, which has been a big thing as we get there, and we can talk to some people in Valentine. How do you think that has come to fruition in this game? You think it's as big a thing?
Whoa!
Oh dear!
Get them shot. Yeah, you're painting them with Deadeye, boosh boosh. So the choice to kill them, that was pretty clear. Is that they?
That's my choice.
Yeah.
My choice is they're gonna die.
And you know what? I don't think I have a really clear view on how successful I think the choice element is yet, because I think moment to moment the choice is largely square button is like diffuse or greet, all the friendly actions. You press L2 to sort of target someone, and that's not target with your gun, but target for conversation.
Yeah.
Bitty or wielding there. And then you can choose the square button stuff is the friendly stuff, and the circle button stuff is the antagonise, and there's also a threaten option sometimes. Moment to moment that's fine, but the choice is largely, am I going to shoot this guy or walk away from this situation, or just say some nice Bonhamy style "G'day partner," this kind of thing. That doesn't mean that much. What feels more significant is there are kind of story beats in the game where you do get the choice to kill people, to let them go, to choose the honourable thing. Now that obviously has a very direct impact on your honour bar that we saw earlier on.
Yeah. What
I'm not clear on, and I don't know if it's spoilers to explore it, is real repercussions for these actions. Does somebody you let go earlier on come back to haunt you? That's the stuff I'm not really clear on. And the way Rockstar were talking about it was probably that it wasn't going to irreversibly damage your story experience in the way it might in a game like Heavy Rain or Detroit. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of my top line view. Is it's a really cool thing, but it doesn't feel absolutely critically game breaking. But I don't know what your view is.
I think the smaller elements of it definitely matter. So when you have random encounters in the game, some people will ask you for help, some people will ask you for money, and the choice there is it's very much the same. Do I want to help them or not? That's your choice, and that will affect your honor. So if you do help them, your honor will go up, which is why mine's quite high. If you don't help them, your honor will go down. But helping them might affect what they do later on in the game with you.
Okay.
So, for example, I've met one of these random encounters who's got bitten by a snake. He was like, oh my god, I'm going to die, help me, help me. And your choice is, don't help him, suck the venom out, or give him a health potion.
That's what I did. I sucked the venom out for him.
Oh, so I gave him a health potion.
Oh, interesting.
So I was being nice.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't want to go near you, you've been bitten by a snake. I'll give you the health potion. So I gave him the health potion, carried on with my other stuff, and then a few in-game days later, actually came back here to Valentine, and the guy was like sat over there by the gun shop, and he was there with his friend, and he went, oh, there's that guy I was telling you about. He's the one who gave me the health potion.
Right.
And he was like, oh, yeah, thanks for doing all that stuff. I don't have any money, but I do have a tab at the gun shop, so go in and have yourself a free gun.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's those kind of elements, I think, that the choice was to help him or not. At the time, as we said at the very beginning, I got nothing as a reward for that. He was like, oh, thanks very much. But later on in the game, he was there going, have a free gun. I know they're quite expensive. And as you said, money is a massive thing in this. So having someone go have a free weapon was actually really handy. I don't know how it affects like main story stuff. I don't think I've got anywhere where I've had an explicit choice so far. It's not to say it's
like
not in
this
there.
path or that path.
Yeah, like, oh, we're going to rob a train, or do you want to rob the bank? Like, I don't know if that's in there. I don't know if that makes a difference to anything. And as I say, if I'm like played it for 50 hours.
Wow.
But not all of that was story. A lot of that is exploring and going off adventuring and finding a lot of the stranger and freaks missions, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, choice matters to the extent of, do you want to help these people or not? We've covered some of the gameplay, but like, how do you just find it just playing it? Like, controls wise, I think the weapon wheel took me a while to get used to. It's slightly different from GTA 5 because you can now flick between R2 and L2 to change guns in this menu, and then you have to press R1 to change to items, and then horse. Like, there's lots of stuff.
It's not completely intuitive, I agree, and there's this slightly bizarre system of you open your weapon wheel, but within that you can press R1 to choose different segments of the weapon wheel, including items and horse items. And then to activate the items, you kind of select them and then let them go while holding R1. It's a little, but you get used to it. It's not like a big problem, but it is a bit unusual. What I did find, and maybe you can correct me on this, and I think this is one of those games that you'll suddenly discover something 10 hours in you wish you always knew 10 hours ago. For example, if I'm riding on my horse, if I want to quickly draw out my binoculars, can I do it, or do I have to go through the wheel and...
Yeah, I mean, you can quickly learn the buttons to press that.
But I can't just suddenly go...
Whoop, there's no, like, quick equip.
Yeah.
Yes. As far as I know, there is.
But again, there's so many control options and camera angles. There's something we probably can show off is, you're on your horse here, but if you tap the face button, you can go further away. Oh, first person.
Yeah.
And again, you can define, horse always first person, combat always first person, something always third person. The level of control is really extreme and very familiar to people who've played GTA 5 on the current gen systems.
There's loads of options for this as well, like the field of view that you have in first person. If you want auto aim on or off, like how sensitive you want, all that stuff. Like, there's loads of things that you can basically configure it however you want. I've played it mainly in third person so far.
Yeah, me too.
But that's just because that's the way that I've played these types of games before.
Yeah.
Here's a quick tip that I've done wrong. When you're going to get the train, which I'm about to, don't hitch your horse.
Oh, really?
Well, that's what I found so far, that if you hitch your horse, he does not come with you.
Oh.
So I've ended up getting the train to, like, St. Denis, where I think we'll have a little trip to now, and then having to get the train immediately back, and then getting the horse again, then going back again.
Because there's a thing, if you can just rustle or steal any horse, the problem is that horse won't have bonded with you, and there are like 3 or 4 levels of bonding, and each time you grow a bond, your horse, it grows its stats, it becomes less likely to be startled if you're attacked, or if you're attacked by a predator like a giant bear or something. It also means that you learn special moves, so that when I've got like a level 3 or 4 horse, you can basically do like handbrake turns on it, like skid stops. It's not as ludicrous as that sounds, it's very well handled, but it does increase your degree of control. So you're not incentivized to just go randomly stealing horses. You want to keep yours, and your horse also contains all your weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in love with my horse. Absolutely in love with it. And I will say, throughout the playthrough that I've been doing so far, one of them has died, and it was quite a moment. And I can't get it back. It's dead forever. So now I'm on horse number 2.
Yeah.
It was the one I'd had from the very beginning of the game.
Oh no, that thoroughbred.
And I was like, this is the one. I'm going to keep it for the whole game. It's going to be great. I got attacked by a random gang who killed my horse and then killed me. And because then I had died, by the time the game loaded again, it had auto-saved. And it was like, well, that's it. I tried to load a previous save. It was too far back. And I was like, well, that horse is gone then. So I had to go and get a new one.
It's funny, and you do feel yourself basically almost like fancying other horses, but then feeling guilty for doing it. Because you'll see other horses and go, oh, he's got some stamina. Oh, he's got some pace. And you think, he's better than my horse. But I love my horse. He's my horse. And only my horse can do cantering and skid turns.
Exactly. You do get a weird connection with them, like more so than you do with cars in GTA.
Oh, yeah, so much.
They're much nicer. So here we are. Saint Denis. So as you can see on the map, this is like here.
Yeah, we've travelled quite a long way.
And we've come from over here.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way. So we'll have a little wander around. This is, so far, what I've seen, the most built up area in the game. This is like the modern.
Yeah. And this touches on, as we say, the theme of the game. This sense of the turn of the century, the modern world's encroaching, the old Wild West, the way of life is dying, the law is closing in, there's a sense of cultural shift, the foundations of modern America. All of this is boiled up in this. Plus, racial tensions. St. Denis is a very cultural area. All of these things are boiled into the game. And the game's length and sweep is what I think will make the story powerful.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff going on here. There's I've seen throughout the game random encounters of people campaigning for women's rights to vote. There's a little thread of that throughout the game.
Yeah.
I've even seen out in the wilderness, and I hope this isn't a spoiler for anyone, some guys in white robes burning crosses.
Yeah, wow.
So there's elements of everything you'd expect in here.
Yeah.
I think the difference with this game as opposed to GTA is you almost have to go and seek that out yourself. It won't explicitly point you towards, we're going to make a comment on this. It will just be out there for you to go and find yourself.
Completely. So are there any other elements, components of the game that we think we want to talk about in more depth?
I would love to talk about some of the environmental and sort of secret stuff that we will make some videos out of, definitely, and have wider conversations around, because there's a lot to say about them. But some of the things that I've become aware of that you might not have been, because we've been to different places on the map, we've played it in different ways. In this town, I've heard there's people in my camp now talking about, and it was a random throwaway line, so it might not even be a thing, but they said, I've heard of people down in Saint Denis who go to bars and drink blood.
Oh, wow.
And with a hint towards
supernatural
old school
vampires.
Ooh, maybe that's the thing.
That's so amazing.
I don't that will be a random thing that's hidden around in this city. No one will point you towards that. And I think that's the thing with most of this stuff. If we go deep into the menus of the progress menus, you can see exactly how much. So the compendium is 551 animal things to do in here. There's fish, gangs, plants, horses, weapons. Cigarette cards are a giant thing. You can do loads of different challenges. There's all of these things, and you can see how little of these I've completed.
Yeah, you played for 50 hours. Yeah, it's amazing.
None of that stuff. There's even in total completion, there's strange cigarette cards. Dinosaur Bones is that mission we saw in the preview.
Yeah, and there's so many more. So many
things that I don't know about. Dream catchers. These is hidden around the world, and it says, find all 20 dream catchers, note their positions, and see what you think. None of this stuff is marked on the map. This is all for you to go and explore and discover. So a bit like the vampires. There's even, I think, a suggestion of a very similar thing to the Infinite 8 killer from GTA 5.
Okay.
That serial killer mystery that you had to go and uncover. I'm pretty sure there's one of them in this game that you have to go and find. I've no idea where that is, but you can find secrets and hints that point towards something along those lines that you can go and find out.
I think for fans of the classic, like apocryphal urban tales, much like the Mount Chiliad conspiracy in GTA 5, this game will have hints at the edges. We don't know how deep that, the rabbit hole goes, so to speak. But
I mean, well, speaking of the Mount Chiliad conspiracy, I think we're going to have a video out today about what I think is the new big conspiracy for Red Dead.
Tell me more.
It's mountain related.
Yeah.
It's related to Mount Sean.
Okay.
So I'm going to call it the Mount Sean conspiracy.
Yeah.
There is
the Sean identity.
Nice.
That would be,
all of these titles. We'll work on them. Let's see what it says on the channel.
Yeah.
I found a tiny shack in the middle of nowhere, not marked on the map. Everyone in it was dead and decomposing, and there was a note written on the table that said something like, we're all going to go and worship the all-seeing overlord on like every half moon at the second hour of the day.
Wow, okay.
We'll be at the top of Mount Sean.
That's back to GTA 5, and at the right time of day and the right thing, this will happen. Brilliant.
Yeah, so there's all of that kind of stuff. And obviously, Rockstar have said this game is really related to time. They mention even in their little note, like the year 2000. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're going to have a giant time jump 100 years into the future, but you never know. You haven't got to the end of the game. I don't know what's going to happen. But there's definitely loads of mysteries and loads of stuff that you can go and discover. And, look how much we've been walking around the city, and there's just so much to see.
Give that
so
man
much
some
to
money.
Give him 50 cents.
Do you get a bit of honour for that, do you?
Oh, yeah. And sometimes, you won't know, but these people will lead you to other things.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Truly,
My arm's gone up.
you.
He's a happy man.
Means a lot to me.
There's a place in here that there's people building a building, like it was under construction, and there was a woman there with a form, and she was like, "Do you want to give us $20 towards the creation of this building?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." Got $20. Have $20, and she went, "Thank you very much. Once we've built it, we'll honour you with a plaque outside the building."
Oh my god.
That building is still being made, but
Yeah.
I imagine by the end of the game they would have built it, and I'll have a little plaque outside.
Wow.
There's so much little details going on, and we haven't even been inside any buildings yet.
I mean, this is it, and I'm conscious that people maybe, as much as they want to watch us play and talk all day, they might want to also play it themselves.
Yes. So let's let them do that.
What else do you think we should dig into before we, we say goodbye for now and pick up with many more videos to follow?
Well, I think there needs to be an overall summary of. I mean, we've covered should you buy it? Yes. Is it what you're going to expect? Probably not at the beginning, but it definitely turns into what you can see now, a giant open world game full of loads of stuff. I would say, as much as you can, explore it on your own.
Yeah.
Don't read the reviews, obviously, but try and stay away from secrets and story spoilers, because the most fun I've had is investigating the world, and the thing that Rockstar Games are really good at doing is making you feel like you've had a unique experience, even if everybody else is having the same one. I found this tiny shack in the middle of nowhere. There's no way anyone would have found this. Now, loads of people might, but it's the sense of feeling that you get that it's just you on your own and you've done it. So, obviously get involved with our mystery conversations and secrets and things, but leave it a week. Play at least the first 20 or so hours on your own, then go and try and talk to people and see what they've discovered. And you'll find that loads of people have very different stories, had very different experiences to you, just in the way that you pick up the missions, basically.
I think with a game like this, it's like a fine whiskey or something where you don't want to rush it. I think you want to inhale it. You want to take your time. They're once, literally, I think this game is once in this generation. This is Rockstar's statement of the generation. This is probably the only game they're going to produce this side of if there's a PlayStation 5. Yeah. So you have to consider that this is their critique of what the hardware can do at this point in time, the kind of story they want to tell. Something interesting on that, and I think part of the reason this game might be so divisive, and it isn't a game that grabs you by the collars and drags you through at an electric pace, contrary to so many Netflix TV shows, the way the Twitter always online world works. this is a game set in the 1900s. There's almost it's a nostalgic hark back to olden times. It's almost a call for patience. It's asking you to reflect on what the world has become versus what it was, not directly, but indirectly. And I think partly the way the game plays is part of that. I think they very easily could have made it a wham bam straight in experience. They made a very deliberate choice to make it challenging, and that's something that again I actually find in life something where I used to read a lot of books, but I've stopped reading books because I'm running out of time and I find them challenging.
Right.
That's terrible. Like, I've lost my ability to lose myself and to engage. So I've deliberately forced myself to read more books again and to read fiction. And this is, I think, similarly, this game is sort of using its position of authority and the fact people want it to force you to slow down and to think. And that you might not like that, but I think there's something quite powerful in that statement. There is a sense of artistic intent to this game, as there is with so many Rockstar games. And people like me who probably ascribe too much artistic intent, but you can't produce a game over 8 years with the size of team that it is without it being meaningful. They've got something to say about this generation. They've got something to say about video games, about society. If all that sounds appealing, this is I think it's a fascinating game, and we'll see exactly how much in the hundreds of hours that envelop it.
Yeah.
But don't expect it to be an insta fun thing. It's good and it's high quality, but it's challenging.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about games in general as in a different way, and how it rewards you or doesn't reward you for doing certain things is very different than what you'd expect. Like I said at the very beginning when we were first getting into it, I helped people out and they didn't give me anything, and I was like, where's my magic coins?
Yeah.
It's getting out of the mindset of it's less of a game and more of an open world that you can go and experience in. Everyone in it is meant to be a living person who has different wants and needs and things, and you helping someone out, like in life, doesn't necessarily get you anything. It just gets you a nice feeling of I've been nice to that person, or I shot them in the face. That's the choice.
Yeah, completely. Do you think there's anything more to add before we retreat to the great bayou in the sky?
No, well, I mean, having said all of that, we haven't even mentioned online, which is a whole nother aspect of the game, which we will cover once there's more details and once it comes out. We're probably looking at about 2 weeks for that to come out. Obviously, that's a separate entity, but it's free for everyone. It's going to be massive. I'm really looking forward to it. I just have to finish the single player first.
Yeah, and I think when you start to play the game, which will be, if not now, within 24 hours of when you watch this video, do let us know in the comments how you're finding it, how you feel. Do check in on GamesRadar, where we've got a review of the game and lots of helpful guides that aren't too spoilery, that will help make your first few hours a bit more manageable. Yeah. So answering questions like I had, like how do I make money, how do I negate a bounty, this kind of stuff.
Look at even this mud stuff.
Yeah,
I would visually and mechanically, I'd say this game is at least a year ahead of everything else.
Yeah, and you need to see it again on PS4 Pro or Xbox One X to really appreciate how incredible it is.
Yeah, I mean, even this, it just looks incredible.
So, and again, let us know what you'd like us to do more with the show as we go on. We may do things like live streams, we may do some more challenges, we're definitely going to do more mystery stuff, we'll do some practical stuff. You let us know. This is the start, I think, of a great conversation around a brilliant game that we want to savour and enjoy together. So thanks so much to everyone who's watched. Look at that. Stunning.
Look at it.
For everyone who's been part of this so far with us, but this is just the beginning. The game releasing is just the beginning. I'm so excited to talk more about it. Look at it. It's outrageous.
It's ridiculous. But thanks very much for watching. We're not going to have a show tomorrow on Friday because we've done this one early as a special because it's the review one, but we'll be back next Friday at 2 p.m. with...
Get yourself a selfie before we check out. That's outrageous.
Wow, okay. And do handheld. I mean, this is another thing with the selfie stuff. You can't do it unless you can put it down somewhere.
Yeah, well,
because it's
exactly.
Old school. You've got to set your camera up. And now there's a bush in the way. This is a great way to end.
Yeah, this is the magic moment I thought it would be. Look at it though.
I'm gonna go. Let's go somewhere. Let's go over here. Let's try and set this up.
Come on, everyone's left by now.
I know they're all going. Oh, it's just going to be a rubbish picture.
The sun's gone away now. What we really need is some giant crocodile to emerge from the bayou
this
and
is where they live, so
munch
never
you
know.
up. That would be a much more fitting way to bow out. Look at the sun trailing on the sea. Okay, well, let's bow out. Thanks so much for watching. It's been super fun to talk about. I cannot wait to talk more about Red Dead.
Yeah.
See you guys soon.
Thanks for watching. See you next week.